SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning. Welcome back to the course Product Design and Manufacturing, wherein we are trying to study the systematic way to design the product and to develop the product, then to manufacture the product, manufacturing concerns as well. So I am taking the topic value engineering in this week. So in this lecture we will discuss about value engineering methodology. So the contents would go like this. We will see why the products have poor value, then we will see these phases of value engineering, which is also known as value engineering job plan. Why do products exhibit poor value? The reason for that is, number one, poor communication. Poor communication between the customers and the manufacturers. So the scope of the product is not defined adequately. Scope remains limited. Next is lack of consensus. This consensus is between the stakeholders, between the manufacturers or within the management. Within management. Next reason might be the outdated design standards. The design standards are sometimes outdated or inappropriate. We see there are certain blocks or certain things those keep one from being creative. So value engineering implies creativity. This value engineering implies creativity. So outdated standards, sometimes one think of, okay, I have tried this and this is true, this is working well, I'll keep doing this. There is a resistance to change. So that happens. So also one of the reason may be incorrect assumptions. Incorrect assumptions based on poor information. Based on poor information. If information is not correct or misinformation is there, the assumptions which are made are not correct, those lead to poor value. The cost might rise or the performance may fall. So next reason may be a resistance to change. Just already mentioned it here, outdated designs. A resistance to change is fixation of previous concepts or fixing to the non-facts or concepts. Then also their honest wrong beliefs, which also doesn't let one do the creative thing. So there is a poor coordination among the designers, failure to network with customers, and poor definition of the product is there. So design based on habitual thinking or resistance to change is there, mistaken beliefs are there. So not enough time for project formulation on design, sometimes failure to utilize latest technologies. So these things lead to poor value. So we will see a methodology here that is known as value engineering job plan. Job plan. So I have divided into these phases. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 phases. Certain researchers would divide it into 7 phases, some would divide it into 8 phases and some would even divide this into 9 phases. So I have selected 6 major phases here. Mudge 1979, he says there are 7 phases. He says before information there is also phase known as general phase or orientation phase, and other researchers have even given some other phases after development. They say before implementation there is presentation as well. So what goes here? From information collection, the function analysis is conducted, creativity is practiced to find the alternative ideas. Those ideas are evaluated in the evaluation phase, and the evaluated ideas are then developed. Developed means the evaluations, the ideas are compared for the best idea to be selected. Then the idea which is selected is seen for its implementation. Then finally implementation is carried out. In general phase, what Mudge says, it is just getting the swing of the things. He says just gear up with the initial information, what your goal would be, who would be your team, but that can be included in this information phase as well. So let us start with information phase. In information phase, what happens? The first step is determine user needs, that is identify the specific issues to be addressed here. Identify the problem or issues. Then next step here is data collection. Data collection is to gather and tabulate the information concerning the item that is presently designed. We gather the information and put the information in right form, that is tabulate, or provide the graphics, data visualization. Tabulation is just like putting the list of the materials that the product is made of, and the number of employees that would be required to work on this project, just making the tables. Data visualization is making the graphs of that, comparing the cost of the most expensive component and the various components with reducing cost. So these making graphs, that is data visualization. So in data collection we do this. Next step is teamwork. This is actually not step, these are the characteristics or the various tips in information phase. Teamwork, the purpose of the team is to build a knowledge and understand the project. Essential team members characterizes the project goal, and they include the technical and functional expertise. You can say technical, functional, these can be same. Then we have aesthetic and various interpersonal and interfunctional teams, those who can work on the financial manager, then marketing, marketers. So value engineering is a teamwork. In general, it is said a group of minimum 4 people should be there when you talk about value engineering, because also the creativity is to be practiced here. And when one think of the creative ideas, one can even skip or one can even get out of the track if he is working individually. So that is the team members, those who work together would make the things come into the single line. So next is broad use function. The broad use function is defined here in information phase itself. The broad use function is, for instance, if we are trying to design a chair, the broad use function is chair has to make somebody to sit, it has to support load, it has to provide comfort. So the major use function here is the primary function. So that is defined here. And next is, if it is a site, construction site, or if it is a manufacturing facility or a factory or the tool room where our product is to be manufactured, it is recommended to make a visit, so as this will give an broad introduction to what kind of resources we do have at this time, in the current time. So we actually prioritize the issues here in information phase. When we talk about the project, when we talk about the product, there are lot of things which are to be handled. So the issues are prioritized here. So this is information phase. Then finalize the problem. We finalize the problem. We give the problem definition. We just identified the problem in the user needs, like using maybe QFD, quality function deployment, and we have worked on the data. We have seen the data. With the help of the team, the broad use function is defined, and looking at on the resources which we have, the problem is finally formulated. Problem formulation. So this is the role of the first phase here, that is information phase. So this QFD, as we have already discussed in the previous sessions, it is a methodology to transfer the customer's voice into the manufacturer's requirement. It actually works in these phases, these steps. So what happens? Customer requires are broadly identified, they are broadly set here, and design requirements are made. Finally, actually production is to be made. Here production planning has to be made. Production planning. So how does it go? First we need design requirements. The customer broad or qualitative information is converted into the quantitative information, that is the design requirements. Then these design requirements, we have broadly listed what the design could be. Based on the design requirements, what are the components or the parts which are to be manufactured here are required. For example, if I need to manufacture a chair, the components of the chair may be the backs, the supporting seat, the pedestal or legs, and all these. So these parts are then listed here. Then these parts, for manufacturing each part, the manufacturing requirements are there. What are the kinds of machines that are required? What are the inventory level, workers, all those manufacturing requires. Based on the manufacturing requires, now these go to next step, next phase here, where manufacturing requirements is the input and production requirements is the final output that we have. Production requirement targets, these targets is the final thing. So in this way the QFD is practiced. So next I have an example here of a tear down process. Tear down of a product. This is actually tear down of Apple iPhone. This is taken from a reference here. So this kind of view is known as exploded view. So if one has to design this mobile or make some changes in this mobile, he has to learn what are the various components. He has to know there is a display that can be separated from the body, from the enclosure. The loudspeaker assembly is put in here, the SIM card is put in here, the primary camera module is put in here, the location of each component, and also after this the cost of each component. The cost involves the material cost and processing cost. Processing cost also have certain elements like labor cost, machining cost, and I will put rest as overheads. So each component is studied here in the information phase itself. We make a bill of materials. Bill of material is the list of materials in a tabulated form where we have, this is serial number, this is bill of materials, serial number, the part or component name, then we have number of components, then cost per component, then total cost. So this is bill of materials. This is just gathering the information. We do not know what are the low value areas here yet. So value improvement potential, that we will identify in the next phase, that is the function phase. So in the function phase, what happens? Specific purpose or intended use of an item is identified. So the definition of function is, it is the specific purpose or intended use of an item. That means what is our product, what it is supposed to do, so what else it can do. I can put these questions here. We ask the questions. What is the product? What function does it accomplish? What other functions are being accomplished? So this is just listing of the various questions that one asks. So it is generally said, I keep 6 serving men, they keep telling me what I do. The 6 serving men are what, why, how, these are the primary, then where, who and when. So these questions are generally asked to know what we are going to do in a product, what we are going to do, why, because we want to improve the value, how we will use this methodology, where the product or the site or the project on which we are working on, who the value engineering team will do, when, that the time would decide here. So these functions are determined by considering your user's actual needs. So what is the product is one thing. So what is the product? Let me say I am carrying a mobile phone here. The product is mobile phone. The basic function is to make call, to receive call, to send messages, receive messages. What else it is doing? It is helping me to access internet. It is helping me to surf internet in that. It is helping me to take photographs. It is helping me to record data. It is helping me to take notes. So many things. Mobile these days is a multifunctional product. So what other functions are being accomplished? This I have just mentioned. So next question we can ask is, what else can it do? Earlier the mobiles were just manufactured to make calls, to receive call, to only do the basic functions. And what else can it do? I am already listening to music, watching movies on the mobile. What else can it do? Okay, I can think mobile is of about 250 grams. I can use this as a paperweight. Okay, what else can it do? I have a ring in this mobile. So this is being carried. This is some actually kind of an accessory which is also being used. So earlier the mobile was not, this big size mobile was not easy to carry in one hand. The dial pad would make any issues over there. So in this case, I can hold this from this ring and use it with one hand only. So this is a kind of an accessory that is put in. So this is value engineering might lead to these things. So here in this case, the issue might be the holding of mobile phone in one hand, or the mobile fails if it is used in one hand only. Okay, so this issue is being addressed by this component here. So we divide the functions into two parts, primary functions and secondary functions. In value engineering, functions must be defined by two words, that is a verb and a noun. So it is said, the less the number of the words, the more defined or the more clear is the problem. If I say the function of my mobile phone is to make calls, this is a big line. So make calls is the key word. These are the key words here. Make is a verb and call is a noun here. So it can be defined, make calls, then make or send SMS. So here it is like this, if the verb is active and the noun is measurable, it gives the more clarity to our function. So this is our primary function. Always primary function would have an active verb and measurable noun, like make calls, click, snap, surf internet. So these are our surf is verb, make is a verb, click is a verb, internet, call and snap are my nouns. Okay. So this primary function is the basic function for which the product is designed for. Actually the customers are paying for the functions only. I can put it here. Customers pay money for the functions. So there are two kind of functions, work functions and cell functions. Some functions are directly identified, directly seen from the product by itself, like making call, receiving call, chair we can sit, there is a height, specific height of the chair, chair has the arms, these are the function, arms are to support the arm supports are to support the arms. So these are all work functions. Cell functions are induced in the product to sell the product. Suppose if I want a chair that is of brown color, giving the brown color cloth or brown color paint or maybe brown texture is not the primary function, is not the work function. That is something that is making the product to sell, because the customer want that color in the product. Also, if I say I want a pen, that can also help me to work as a stylus on my mobile phone. So actually this is a kind of a multifunctional product now. So these two becomes the primary function if that is my requirement. Otherwise, if it is a pen, the primary function is make marks or write, make writing or write notes, the way we define. Actually, there is no specific way to tell the functions in two words. Someone can say it is make marks for the primary function of the pen. Some other person can say provide notes. Someone can say record information. So all these things do vary here. So in general, the work function has active verb and measurable noun. So this work is performance. or quality. Self functions just need to have a verb and a noun. This can be a non-measurable noun. Self functions, a verb and a noun that is non-measurable, like I just said in the example. So, defining the functions in two words, a verb and a noun, is known as two-word abridgment. The advantages of this two-word abridgment is it focuses on the function rather than on the item. It encourages creativity. It frees the mind from the specific configuration. So, it actually gives the information in a crisp form, crispy information. So, like if I say the function of a pen refill, if I say a product, for example, I have this pen here, I am taking the refill here. The function of, if I say, okay, this is my refill tube, I have ink in this, I have a tip in here. So, a cost reduction or a general engineering concept would say we have these components, but value engineering would say what we have in this. We have, I will put the parts here, it has ink, it has body or a tube that is of plastic, then it has a nib, actually it is a tip. So, what value engineering would say, body, what is the body? The primary function is store ink. So, also the secondary function is to protect or to, okay, we can put it like protect leakage. The function of the tip is again protect leakage. Can be one of the secondary function for the tip, but the primary function of the tip is to write notes. Actually, this is the primary function of my pen itself, but which the tip is doing. So, the purpose of the ink is to provide medium, for writing. So, this is the way that cost reduction looks into the product and value engineering. So, next, the similar phenomena we can see here in the case of a chair. In the chair, we have these components: headrest, arm pads, arms, chair cylinder, then chair base. These are casters that helps the chair to revolve. This is actually kind of an executive chair. There are various segments of this product. So, this is an executive chair. This is a cylinder cover, chair mechanism that helps the chair to go up and down. Then we have the lumbar support system. It helps the body to keep straight. So, this is a seat pad that provides cushion, that also gives comfort here. So, if you see these two postures, which posture would you prefer? However, in this case, this person is not even touching here. So, this is not the issue of the design here, it is actually the way this person is trying to work here. So, they are kind of advertising. Let me say this company, this manufacturer is kind of trying to sell his chair. He says that in this case, this lumbar support would help your spine to keep in the right position, right posture. So, what are the issues with this posture? This is a cervical spine here. Okay, he can have load on this thing. Then hip flexion is there. So, all the issues, this is the worst posture which I could say one can have. So, he is so much indulged into this work, he is not even making his back rest on this back pad that is there. So then elongative and inactive weak upper back muscles with T-spine curvature is here. So if we see these components here of the chair, or components, or if I say the parts of the chair, I can define the functions of each component here. What is function of seat pad here? It has to support, I would say, the user. Then lumbar support is also support user. The function is same, but is actually supporting the back. We can choose the way we want to put this function. Then to support user, actually it is also, the secondary function can be, it is resisting the load of the user, then resisting the movements of the user, then distribute loads as well. Distribute loads into the area where the user is sitting. So this lumbar support, the main the main function here is support user. The secondary function is to define position, or this can also be, better to put this as primary function, because this is the support here that is defining the position of the function, person who is sitting here, or the user who is sitting here. So the primary function is to define position. The secondary function might be support user. Then this cylinder is here, chair cylinder. Its function is rotate user. Then this arm pads and arms, these support elbows. Headset, support the head. Support head only. I have not put the here. Two words are to be used. Then support bottom. This support the feet or knees. Support knees or support feet. So in value engineering, no component is just seen as the physical component. Okay, this is support, this is base, this is back, this is arm, this is the pen tube, this is the pen refill, and so on. We look into the function. What is the function it is trying to accomplish? Then in the next phase, we will see, in the creativity phase, we forget what was the main product for the time. Okay. Then we say, what is the function? What are the various ways in which this function can be accomplished? For this lecture, I have a task for you. You please choose a product. You can even work on the product that you have chosen in the previous lecture. Okay. Then identify, or first tear down. You need not to tear down physically. You can just see the information of the product. For example, if you choose a pen, you can see what are the various components of the pen. Tear down the product into various components. Okay. Part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4. Then try to identify the functions of each part here. Then divide this function into two categories: primary and secondary functions. Okay. So what you will see, the primary function of the product you choose. For example, if you choose a chair, primary function of the chair is to support user. What is the component that is accomplishing this function? This is a kind of a work function. The texture of the hair, the blue color of the back or the chair, the black color of the arm pads was all aesthetics. So those are all cell functions. So what you will see here, the primary function of the product of the whole body or whole assembly here would also be the primary function of part. So please do this task, and we'll meet in the next lecture where we'll discuss the FAST diagram, function analysis and system technique. So that is a kind of a diagrammatical representation or presentation of the various functions. We place the functions into various positions where it should be. We'll see how that works. Thank you.